Hey guys, I don't care what sport you watch. This is where the best information is. We are looking at a critical inflection point for the LA Clippers that exposes a recurring pathology in modern NBA team building. Despite a strong statistical run, we are once again discussing James Harden's potential exit, this time for a young star in Darius Garland. This isn't just a trade rumor, it is an indictment of organizational culture versus player leverage.
DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of ESPN, and in part by Tempur-Pedic, deep, undisturbed sleep.
Welcome back to First Take, the NBA trade deadline 2 days away, with Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern being the cutoff. The Clippers are in the mix. According to Shams Charania, LA is trying to find a deal for James Harden before the deadline, and the Cleveland Cavaliers have serious interest, with the sides discussing a Harden for Darius Garland swap. The Clippers played Harden's former team last night in the 76ers. He sat out for what was listed as personal reasons. Here's Clippers coach Ty Lue on Harden's impact on the team.
Is it what has James meant for you guys in LA since he's been here?
He means a lot. Yeah, he means a lot to our team, and we've seen it the last 3 years, so he means a lot.
Is that a guy that you would want to continue having past the trade deadline and be able to build towards a playoff run?
Who wouldn't want to have James Harden?
Okay, who wouldn't want to have James Harden? As Kendrick Perkins joins us now here on First Take. And Perk, I'll go to you first. Would it be a mistake to move Harden off the Clippers?
It would, but I don't think they have a choice, Shay. And here's the thing. Shay, I've been on here long enough that I got the authority to say, pop me back up here, because I want to look at Stephen A. when I say this. What the hell is going on down there? With the Clippers? No, seriously, what's going on with that organization? Do they have some type of disease that we don't know about? Because it seems like everybody is allergic to what's going on in that organization. I go back to how Paul George left. I'm looking at the Chris Paul CP3 situation and how that ended. And now I'm looking at this situation with James Harden. Over the last 2 months, this team has arguably has been the best team in the NBA for us, what they've been doing, winning games. Kawhi Leonard has looked healthy. James Harden is averaging 25 points and third in the league in assists. And all of a sudden, at 2 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, I get an alert that he wants out of Cleveland. Out of LA. Something is going on over there. And I just don't want, LA, excuse me. And I just don't understand what is happening. Now, I will say this. If I'm Cleveland, I'm definitely trying to get James Harden, especially if I'm giving up Darius Garland. Do I believe James Harden is an upgrade? Absolutely, I do. Do I think James Harden has transitioned over the last 3 or 4 years of being one of the best facilitators in the game? You damn right. And here's a fact. Guys, especially big men, thrive and play better, have career years when they play alongside James Harden. So I'm looking at an Evan Mobley in particular, and in Cleveland gets a guy like James Harden, we're going to see his game elevate. Donovan Mitchell's game is going to elevate because now he don't have to be the primary ball handler all the time. It's going to take pressure off of him. So again, it would be a mistake, but I don't think they have a choice at this point. I think they have to trade him.
It would not be a mistake, Big Perk, because when James Harden wants out, you let him leave. Because he's shown you what he's going to be like when he wants to leave and you make him stay. You've seen it, okay? And so you don't want that problem. You don't want that problem. When that brother went out, you get him up out of there, okay? What's going on with the Clippers? What's going on with the Clippers? I don't have enough time in this show in 2 hours to tell you what's going on with the Clippers. To me, it comes down to Steve Ballmer, who I love as an owner, but the combination of him and his inexplicable, unwavering faith in Lawrence Frank and Kawhi Leonard. Both are inexplicable. I don't give a damn that Kawhi Leonard is averaging 27 a game. We all know what Kawhi Leonard is going to do when he's on the basketball court. The brother is sensational. It don't matter. When he's on the court, he's going to perform. But he's already missed about 12 or 13 games this year. And you know where I'm going, Perk. You know what? What's he going to do in the playoffs? Call me when the playoffs begin. Let's see if he's on the court. And by the way, we got to take it a game-by-game situation. This brother Shay, I'm telling you right now, Kawhi Leonard should give lessons. He should have a master class on how to get paid for not working. Because I'm telling you, he going to miss it. Trust me, just book it. I don't give a damn if he at the Waldorf Park, he eating dinner at Beverly Wilshire or something. Something going to happen. Food poisoning, twisted ankle, headache. Something going to happen. He ain't going to be there. That's just how it is, okay? To James Harden, and Lawrence Frank, don't get me started with him. What he did with CP3, that just shows you all you need to know. You don't let the man travel on the road with you when you could have kept him at home. You just don't do stuff like that. It just shows a lack of respect, plain and simple. And Ballmer has let this kind of stuff happen for years, okay? He's placed his faith in the wrong people. Now let me get to James Harden. James Harden is one of the greatest scorers in NBA history, just past Shaquille O'Neal for 9th all time. And like Perk said, put me up on the screen so I can look at my little big bro right there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we're talking about James Harden, one of the most prolific scorers in NBA history, an unstoppable force on the offensive side of the ball. We all know what he can do because we've seen him do it. He's averaging more points per game right now that he has since the 2019-2020 season. This is 6 years later, and look at what the brother's doing, okay? The brother's just that special. We all know that. I don't care that he shoots 42% from the field, 35% from three-point range. I don't care. The brother is walking buckets when he needs buckets, when he wants to. Here's the problem. Remember Game 7 last year against the Denver Nuggets, Big Perk? 35 minutes. 7 points on 2 of 8 shooting. That's James Harden. What has James Harden done over the last 4 Game 7s of his career? He's got a combined 1-3 record. And one of the most prolific scorers in NBA history, Shay, averaged 13.8 points on 27% shooting from the field and 17% shooting from three-point range, 5 of 30. That's what we have seen. And he's now lost 4 of his last 5 playoff series. So what I'm saying to you is that because you know when it really, really counts, there has been too much evidence that he's not going to show up for whatever inexplicable reason. Because how do you attempt 8 shots in a game when you James Harden? It's phenomenal and great as he is. How do you attempt 8 shots? That's almost like, well, I'm interested in going to Cabo. I'm interested in getting the hell up out of here. Season's over for me. I don't feel like working. It almost looked like that when you watch him in Game 7s. You cannot keep somebody like that when they tell you they want to go. You must let them go. You must let them go.
But I'm not trying to pile on James Harden here, but we're over here talking about the Clippers and what's going on with that organization. What about James Harden? Why now? They're 15-5. They have the best record in the NBA since Christmas. But because he wants out of there, now's the time for him to bounce.
Second year not guaranteed.
He wasn't even in the arena last night.
Not fully guaranteed. Because if you go somewhere else, the likelihood is that they're going to take care of you with a longer-term deal. In his eyes, he'd probably be able to get more bags someplace else. I'm sure that's not the only reason, but I'm certain that plays a part in it. Go ahead, Big Perk.
No, Shay, and that's the question I asked, and that's why I asked what is going on with the Clippers. I mean, this team has been balling, and all of a sudden you see this breaking news, and again, he's balling. James Harden is putting up great numbers under Ty Lue. Some say around the league that he should have been an all-star. But here's my, Stephen A., this is my pushback to you as far as James Harden right now.
Sure.
Right? And if he happens to get traded, especially to the Cavs, James Harden is not a number 1 or number 2 option anymore on a contending team, in my opinion. He's a hell of a regular season player. We know he's going to put up numbers. He's one of the greatest offensive players this game has ever seen.
No doubt.
But if he gets to the Cavs, now all of a sudden he becomes the 3rd option to Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley. I love a James Harden as a 3rd option. I don't love him as a 1st or 2nd option. With the Clippers, he's a 1st or 2nd option. I don't like that. That's why I think if he moves to a team like the Cavs, he elevates them and put them in that conversation where they're supposed to be for as legit title contenders.
I have no problem with him as a 2nd option. Even if it wasn't a 3rd option, it was a 2nd option. I have no problem because he's that prolific. My issue is, again, this is not listen, if you choke and you scared, all right, that's one thing. We could see that. The alarming, scary part about James Harden is that when we've seen his lack of performances years ago against the Spurs in the playoffs, last year against Denver, other performances as well, what scared the living hell out of you is that it was lethargic. It was like apathetic, like I'm not interested. Well, he looked scared or anything. It looked like he didn't care. And coaches have lost their jobs because of this. And so when you look at it from that standpoint, if you're telling the Clippers, despite y'all winning ways since December 20th, that you want out, you want to go. I mean, they started off 6-21. They're not a 9th seed in the Western Conference and climbing. Okay? They could potentially make some noise. And now is when you say you want out. That's that's you hear stuff about, nobody really communicates with Kawhi Leonard, and, there's not really player relations with whether it's coaches or upper management or whatever. It just seems to be a job. It doesn't seem to be the ideal kind of atmosphere, which would lend us towards talking about Ty Lue, who we all know to be a great coach and a champion. So there could potentially be some culpability on his part. The problem with it is that the brother wins. He clearly knows what he's doing. He's clearly one of the elite coaches in the game of basketball. And even when they were struggling, you saw Ty Lue sitting back. We gonna be all right. We gonna be all right. And sure enough, they all right. Because that's how good he is as a damn coach. But it makes you look at the rest of the organization and ask yourself, damn, you in Southern California, you're in a brand new arena, you ain't no longer the fair-weather stepchild at Crypto.com arena sharing the arena with the Lakers. You got a lot. What's the problem? And somehow, some way, James Harden is always there to remind you there's always a problem. So I like him in Cleveland too. I think Houston should have looked at him with Fred VanVleet out, personally. But bottom line is, he don't need to be with the Clippers anymore. He let them know he don't want to be here. And when James Harden, for the last time, when James Harden tells you he wants out, you let him go. Or you will pay for it.
As I said, he wasn't even in the arena last night. He was not on the bench. He had personal reasons, didn't even show up. As for Cleveland, hard to win with two small guards. You add James Harden in there, might help their chances a little bit, especially in the Eastern Conference. All right, thanks, Perk. We'll talk to you a little bit later on.
When we step back and analyze the entirety of this discourse between Stephen A. Smith and Kendrick Perkins, we uncover a profound disconnect between regular season production and postseason reliability that defines the current era of the NBA. The situation described regarding James Harden and the LA Clippers is not merely a transactional dispute. It is a case study in diminishing returns and organizational mismanagement. First, let's address the concept of the Clippers, disease that Perkins alluded to. This is a critical observation. When an organization with the deepest pockets in the league, led by Steve Ballmer, cannot retain stability despite acquiring elite talent, the issue transcends the roster. It speaks to a culture that likely prioritizes player accommodation over accountability. We have seen this pattern with the unceremonious exits of Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, and now we are seeing it manifest with Harden. The report that Harden sat out for personal reasons while seeking a trade to Cleveland is the hallmark of his exit strategy. We saw this in Houston, we saw a version of it in Brooklyn, and now in Los Angeles. The tactical pattern is clear. Create discomfort to force leverage. Stephen A. Smith's breakdown of Harden's playoff apathy is perhaps the most damning piece of technical criticism in this segment. The statistics cited, specifically the Game 7 performances where shot attempts drop into the single digits, reveal a psychological hurdle that no amount of regular season assists can mask. For a player of Harden's caliber to attempt only 8 shots in an elimination game is not a slump. It is a refusal to engage with the moment. It suggests a player who prefers to facilitate rather than dominate when the pressure is highest, which is fatal for a team that relies on him as a primary or secondary option. From a tactical perspective, the proposed swap of Darius Garland for James Harden presents a fascinating yet dangerous dichotomy for Cleveland. Perkins argues that Harden elevates big men, citing the potential growth of Evan Mobley. Historically, this is accurate. Clint Capella and Joel Embiid thrived on the pick and roll with Harden. However, trading a 24-year-old rising star like Garland for an aging asset with a history of instability is a massive gamble on a short-term championship window. It forces Donovan Mitchell off the ball more often, which could be beneficial, but it also slows down the pace of a young team that thrives on energy. Ultimately, the Clippers' predicament highlights the failure of the super team model when it lacks a unifying culture. Lawrence Frank and the front office have bet on talent over cohesion for years. If they move Harden for Garland, they are admitting that their veteran experiment has failed, pivoting back to youth. If they keep him, they risk the sabotage scenario Stephen A. warned about. In the NBA, talent gets you to the playoffs, but culture and mental fortitude win championships. Right now, the Clippers appear to have neither, regardless of what the stat sheet says about their win-loss record since Christmas.